Hello, I'm Dr. Bruce Cook. I'm the Chaplain and Director of Pastoral Care for the Crime Victim Advocacy Council. And it's my pleasure to talk to you in an informal chat about how to make a difference to crime victims. I hope I'm speaking to spiritual leaders and lay leaders and interested parties who have a vested interest in helping crime victims to heal. And that's a healing in terms of body, mind, and spirit. I'll be talking to you today about a spiritual care model of healing that your faith-based organization can use. Whether it's in a high-crime urban area or a rural area or any particular location, all faith-based organizations can be very effective healing agents to help crime victims overcome the trauma that comes from a serious violent crime. I'll be talking to you today from a grant that is funding this informal chat. It's from the Office of Victims of Crime, and the purpose of the grant was to equip faith-based organizations, particularly in high-crime urban areas, with ways of responding with spiritual care to crime victims, and also to prevent victims from having a further re-victimization. The first thing that a faith group leader needs to understand is that there are certain knowledge, skills, and attitudes that you can bring to bear that will help and be most effective. And then one of the first things you need to understand in terms of knowledge is the basic rights that a crime victim has. If you could write PANIC on your mind right now, the first thing you would feel as a crime victim is panic. And the thing you need to tell crime victims is don't panic, because you have basic victim rights. The P stands for participate and be heard. You have the right to, as a crime victim, to participate and be heard in all phases of the criminal justice system process. That could be bonding, the arraignment, the trial, sentencing, parole board hearings. You have the right to be present and to participate and be heard at all phases of that criminal justice process. The other P, a little p, is to be protected from the accused. As a crime victim, you have the right to be safe, and if you've been threatened or your child has been threatened, you can request security to and from the courtroom, and you can be kept in a separate waiting area so that you can be protected from the accused. Then the second right you have, major right, is called the giant A. Always be treated with dignity, respect, and compassion. And I add spiritual care. That's not a legislative right, but that is certainly a moral imperative that faith-based organizations treat crime victims with spiritual care, respect, dignity, and compassion. The most important thing that you can do for a crime victim is to let them know that you feel that their needs are important to you as a spiritual leader, to try to attempt to work and facilitate the meeting of those needs. You become a team member with the crime victim to problem solve, to make them feel safe and secure. The other is a giant N, which stands for notification. The right to be notified of an important court date or a release date of an offender once he's been convicted. The right to be notified of an appeal that is occurring in the case. You must give a current address and keep that current, because the officials cannot find you if your address has changed and you have not kept it up to date. But you do have the right to notification. You can request it of the jail the state prison system, the federal prison system, and you will be put into a victim notification program. You will be notified of the offender's release by parole or mandatory release. You'll be notified of that offender's death. You'll be notified when they're in a community custody environment where they are walking around on work release or Christmas furlough or any form of release to the community. The next important right that a crime victim has is information. It's one of your most basic rights, to be informed, kept up to date, what's going on in the case. A lot of times crime victims and their families have 4 or 5 people calling the same investigator or assistant DA or assistant U.S. attorney and asking for information. It is recommended that one spokesperson call, and they call every so often and not every day. Call once a month and find out what is the status of the case. And you have the right to be informed as to everything that they can tell you without disclosing items that might jeopardize the investigation or prosecution. You can request under the Freedom of Information Act to receive all disclosable file material, and you can request in Georgia under the Open Records Act from state officials to get all the information that is disclosable to you. A lot of times some information will not be disclosed until it's ready to be disclosed because it could jeopardize the investigation or prosecution. But they will disclose to you all information under the law that they can. The final right that a crime victim has is a very important one called compensation. It's the giant C. Compensation takes several forms. In our state, in Georgia, it's the Victim Compensation Fund, and you can call 404-559-4949 and receive a victim claim form, get a copy of the police report, get a copy of the death certificate or the medical records, submit them with your claim, and it'll take several weeks and it'll be investigated. And it's within the certain time limit, which currently is 1 year from the date of the offense. You can get in the state of Georgia up to $25,000 per victim claim. Now that can be for lost wages, counseling, medical expenses, and other acceptable, eligible expenses. You need to file and document everything that you're requesting and prove that it was not reimbursed by insurance or other means. All non-reimbursable expenses, if they fall under the eligible benefits, can be reimbursed by the state. Most states have that victim compensation fund that you can access. Imagine you as a pastor or a lay leader, a priest, an imam, a rabbi, a Zen master, a spiritual leader for a tribe. Imagine that if you went to your crime victim that you knew or had some prior relationship to, and you said, did you know that you can get X number of thousands of dollars for a victim claim? And if they did not know that and were able to successfully get financial compensation from your information, they would never forget it. They would be truly grateful to you as a spiritual leader, helping them become financially as whole as possible after this horrible crime.